What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Micah back at it again with another video. I know it's been a minute. I apologize for the delay. Life. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But fucking, we're going to hop right into it. Today we're going to discuss madness and the significance, the magical significance of it, and what it can do for your necromancy. When you're on this path, you're going to get very deep into working with the death gods, the death spirits, casting curses, hexes, maybe doing some healing work or whatever. And there comes a point where, especially when you're cursing someone, you have to consciously put your limitations behind you, psychic, physical, etc. Now, when you do this, it's going to almost like flip a switch in your mind, a psychological switch and a spiritual switch, to where you enter into a type of berserker type state. And this is not so much a physical berserker state as is common with like Norse magic and Norse practitioners. This is more of a psychic berserker state. Now, with this state, you'll find that you're able to break past all limitations and barriers that are hindering your objective or your goal. I.e., let's say you're going up against a practitioner that's stronger than you. Well, in this state of madness, psychic and spiritual madness, you're able to push your magic and your sorcery past their shields, wards, the very spiritual rank that they hold, whether they're ascended, transcended, or whatever. And you're able to get your shit through and really do a number on a motherfucker. And it can play out in very fun ways depending on the type of curse you do. This is especially good with like psionics. When you put yourself past the state of limitation, you can basically do some crazy ass shit. And especially when you combine it with death essence, oh yeah, it gets very fun. So let's kind of define and redefine madness. Madness in this context is not a mental disorder, so to speak. It's not the same thing as going insane, to where you're just doing crazy, stupid ass shit, you know what I'm saying, because you have no sense of limitation or morality. Madness in this sense is a psychic state of being. It is a magical state of being, to where you put your limitations, mental, physical, and energetic and magical, behind you. You choose with your mind to forget those limitations, and thus the bindings on your cursing abilities, your healing abilities, etc. are temporarily broken. It's like taking off a limiter, so to speak, and this enables you to channel much greater volumes of death essence for us necromancers. It enables spirit communication on a much easier level, that kind of thing. Also, it allows you to rejuvenate yourself. This is what I mean. As one of my friends said, you have to get out of your mind first in order to truly get into what's left of your mind, in order to bring yourself back to that higher vibration, to that place of being in your power, that kind of thing. So there is an occult semblance to quote-unquote going mad with power, so to speak. Or, you know, the typical trope where people turn crazy once they get enough power. It's not so much that they turn crazy, it's that their true potential is unlocked, and that they can tap into that now, whether it's for healing purposes for the RHP people out there, or whether it's for deathly purposes, you know what I'm saying? Now, the method of the madness, because there always has to be a method to it, right? You have to have a strong enough will, strong enough mind, in order to voluntarily shift from states of sanity to states of insanity or madness. This is why I say that. With different mental states come different abilities. You view things from a logical perspective, from an orderly perspective, when you're in a state of sanity, when you're in your right mind, so to speak. Keep this terminology in mind. You view things in terms of correspondences, the way magic should work, the way things should go when you do a death hex. You plan and you strategize. You're in a warish kind of mood, so to speak, somewhat operating like a 5-star general. You're making your battle plans. You determine, okay, I need to cut off this person's protection. I can do this kind of working to get this done, and then I can go in for the kill, right? That's sanity. Insanity or madness is seeing what's not there. You're not seeing the fact that you can push your curses, your magic, or whatever past this person's protections just by default of being in that mental state. Because now, unless that person has really good divination skills, they're going to hardly be able to trace you or your energetic imprint. Well, why is that? That is because when you're in a state of being in your right mind, of sanity, you are on the radar, so to speak. And they can trace your mental essence, your spiritual essence, and the essence of the magic that you cast out against them. When you're not in your right mind, you are off the radar. You are off the grid. So they're going to have a very hard time finding that it was you that did it. You feel me? This also ties into things like divination, corpse reading, you know what I'm saying, all that other kind of stuff. There are things and information you can find out in madness, in a state of madness, that you cannot find out from a state of sanity. The reason is because you're not perceiving what's truly hidden. You're not perceiving the barriers in time that limit certain types of information from coming to you. You're not perceiving the flow of events going on for whatever your query is. Or if you're reading a person, you're not perceiving the psychic inhibitors that prevent you, much like a psychic going to a casino. They have shit set up there to prevent them from using their abilities. You're not perceiving that, and that's what's hindering your reading of that person or the divination of your target. Now, we have to be aware that concerning madness and insanity, it's a double-edged sword. If your mind and your will is not strong enough to maintain a semblance of sanity that you have left while you're in these states, then you can lose yourself to it, and thus you become worthless because you're not able to control your body or your mind or your spirit or your psychic abilities. If you take this same double-edged sword concept and you go into necromancy with it, then you can start hexing people you don't mean to hex. Because now, instead of the madness being a spiritual transfiguration, a form of spiritual transfiguration, the madness is simply psychological and is seeping into your subconscious mind, which is connected to reality. So therefore, things that you don't know that you have there, desires to off or kill MFs through curses that you didn't know you had, start manifesting. That insanity starts seeping out and starts warping the reality around you. This is partially where people talk about, you cursing yourself, so to speak, or laying hexes upon yourself, laying tricks upon yourself. This can infect your health. This is why shadow work is very important, because your shadow, the personal shadow, is connected to your subconscious mind. It does not reside in your subconscious mind. It does not consist entirely of your subconscious mind. But for all the repressed trauma, repressed bullshit, secret desires you refuse to admit to yourself, etc., it leaks. It flows down the pipeline through your shadow, which is then infected with madness that then manifests automatically these things to happen to you or to happen to people you care about. And then consciously, because you're not seeing with the eyes of your spirit, you think it's somebody else doing it. You feel me? Now, that kind of brings up the question, okay, well, if that's the case, then how do you know if it's a legit curse coming from outside of you, from someone else, or if it's just your own shit? A very good way to do this, trace it. All energies, all curses, even from other people, have a certain energy about it that you can determine whether it's made up or whether it's real. It has a solidity, a solidarity to it. Most of the time, especially when you're being fucked with by other mages and shit, unless that mage is truly fucking with their magic and really with the shit, is going to have a, I don't want to say airy, but a more egregoric type feel to it. It's like a phantom. It phases in and out, so to speak, of reality, and each time it takes on different forms. And so most of the time these things are somewhat easy to trace. You can psychically determine who it is, but other times it is just you what you'll find is that you'll break the curse and it will come back repeatedly, 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 draining you each time and putting you in a worse position. That's how you know it's time to stop with the reversals. It's time to stop with the curse breaking. It's time to do some shadow work and fucking resolve that shit. Because once you let that shit go from your shadow and you completely resolve it and take back the energy, you'll find that the crap that was fucking you up stops immediately. You feel me? Now, the thing here is, with madness, these states of spiritual transfiguration and growth, once you achieve this, it does some damage to your mind, to your sanity. You have to have the ability, whether through healing magic or otherwise, to fucking heal your mind. And by heal your mind, what I specifically mean is refresh and empower your mental energy reserves. That way you have energy enough to think. You have energy enough to be aware of your surroundings. You have energy enough to use logic and to manipulate causality by means of the chains of logic that are weaved throughout this plane and other planes. You can start fucking with cause and effect, you know what I'm saying? Working with the casual plane, that kind of thing. This is most often accomplished by simply taking a break from it all. Not leaving your sorcery, not talking about, I'm going to take a 6-month break from this, I'm not going to do this anymore. No, fuck that shit. It's not about that. It's about using your elixirs, your talismans, your chains, calling upon your spirits that deal with healings in whatever your particular current or another current that you're initiated into deal with, and recuperating yourself, healing the spiritual damage and the psychic damage that you gain by delving into these madness type states. Physically, madness can affect your neurocognitive abilities. The real word I want to use is your motor skills, your ability to control your limbs and all that good shit. The reason is, once again, it's a spiritual transfiguration. All spiritual transfigurations affect the physical in some way, shape, or form. So as a necromancer, you can come across a different set of problems with this than you would in just fucking with death essence. With death essence, okay, you may have health failing, you know what I'm saying, mental degeneration, fucking permanent muscle weakness. Okay, we can work past that. But when you tie the mental, the psychic, the psionic element into it, you start to find that you struggle with things such as involuntary muscle loss, referring to loss of control. You can start as simple with your fucking hand. You find your hand twitching and shit out of nowhere as you suddenly delve into this fucking state of madness. This is where your will comes in to control that energy that's going through you. Because really, it's not so much that you're losing your, in this example, losing your muscular capability. It's the fact that there's so much fucking psychic and psionic energy going through you that your body cannot handle it. It's literally frying your system. And this, the twitching, the spontaneous muscle loss, all that other kind of shit is a manifestation of that. So you have to be very, very careful. Now, the benefits of madness is that you can see the gaps in logic, whether of your own or somebody else's. You start to tap into a dark kind of faith, like a witchcraft-based faith, so to speak. Not in some higher power, but in your own work. You start to not just know and believe, but you can feel that what you're doing is going to work. You are confident in your skill. This is different from delusion. Delusion is being confident in yourself and in your magic when you have clear proof that it does not work. Madness, the type of confidence that comes from madness, is knowing that whatever ritual you're doing, whether it's a voodoo doll, whether it's a fucking talisman you're making, whether it's a spell you're casting, is knowing that because you chose consciously with your mind, with your ability to think thought, that you put your limitations behind you, that means there's no obstacles, real obstacles within yourself to getting towards your goal. And that's where the fucking confidence comes from. And that's what lets you tap into your true potential, the divinity that's within you. This is what makes witchcraft, true witchcraft, witchcraft in the first place. It's not so much the herbs, it's not so much the traditions and the bloodlines and all that other kind of stuff. It's that inner knowing, that tapping into your true potential and then expressing it out through the means you have available, i.e. herbs, dolls, poppets, fucking, you know what I'm saying, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. As you delve into this and you mix it more and more with necromancy and your death magics, you'll find that they gain a greater potency as well, because you're not limiting yourself, which in turn removes limitation off of your magic, off of the amount of death essence you can use, that you can quote unquote borrow for the specific task. It makes your work hit a peak performance type state where you're in flow with it. And that's what's important. That's the secret to necromancy, death magic, spirit work, etc. You have to get out of your mind to get into the flow, whilst retaining a piece or a semblance of your sanity and your personal power, your will, etc. And being careful not to break your spirit through putting too much spiritual and psychic stress on yourself. I'm going to touch on that real briefly before I end the video. When you do any kind of spiritual work, you're putting stress and pressure upon yourself, upon your spirit, which is connected to your soul, which connects to your mind, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, which then houses various personalities. We all heard about the fucking ego, the ID, and the superego. We've heard how people can create multiple personalities based on traumatic events that essentially split parts of their minds into conflicting patterns, so to speak, which in reality is a split of the soul shards that house the core essence of your mind, being, and personality. They split and their essence is transmuted and changed to conflict, even though they're still within the same vessel, i.e. you. That was one hell of a word salad, but I'm gonna leave it like that. Freaking, when you do your death magic, especially with necromancy, you're putting incredible amounts of stress upon your own spirit. This is then felt by the physical body as drain. Sometimes if you push yourself hard enough, you can go into a death state, so to speak, to where you're just unconscious as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like unconscious as fuck, sleeping like the dead until you wake up again. When you delve into madness and these psychic and psionic states and you weave it with your death magic and all that other good shit, you put so much stress upon your spirit, which is good because it creates a transfiguration. You put so much stress upon your spirit that it tends to crack and break under pressure, so to speak, which can then manifest in the mind as things like schizophrenia, different psychic disorders, things like that, hauntings. It can create an infected reality. I'm going to say that again. It can create an infected reality where all those thought forms, egregores and tulpas and split personalities and soul shards that are housed within your mind and shadow due to this break in your psyche brought about by your work and the pressure you put on your spirit leak out and start manifesting in and of themselves, because now they have a free reign and free tether of energy in order to go about doing what they need to do. So you have to be very, very, very careful with that. To prevent this, I recommend you take proper preparation. There's that saying, proper preparation prevents poor performance. I'm going to say it again. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Take your spiritual bath before you do your ritual work. Meditate, do your chakra work, do your energy work. Fortify yourself in mind, body, and spirit. Take your elixirs, wear your talismans. Stay in resonance with your spirits, with your currents, with your magic. All that other good shit. The reason is, it might just seem like a simple chain or some shit like that to you, but in reality is fortifying and buffering the impact of the work that you're doing that it has on your own spirit. That way you don't break under pressure and you're not ruined forevermore with a shit ton of psychological disorders that could have been avoided or prevented had you took the proper steps necessary in order to do your shit right. Feel me? So with that being said, I'm gonna conclude the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully this gave you proper information. You know, hopefully you got the point of this madness. I communicated it to you correctly. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my Patreon. I'll be adding some new content. And for those looking to get work from me or like spiritual work done, I'll leave my contact information down below. You can hit me up and we can get this shit going. So, thank you for watching. Peace.